Hello, everyone. This is a snapshot of my family, just to tell you a little bit about me. I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren, and they are definitely the reason that I feel so strongly and passionately about what I do. The name of my agency is the Nanny Service, and we have been around since 1997. My name is Trish Bass. I have over 20 years of industry experience, and I know everybody is really busy, so we're going to get through this as quickly as we can. What we're going to talk about is the 10-step process to hiring a nanny or a babysitter. We're going to talk about where to find someone, interviewing, references, background checks, contracts and work agreements, emergency forms, getting started on that first day, perfect nanny versus the realistic nanny, warning signs, and evaluations. Of course, the first step is you need to find someone. Social media is a fabulous place to find a nanny, obviously. Social media is pretty much the rage now as far as finding someone. Even agencies are using social media. Some folks still use Craigslist. There's some free online ads and community pages through different radio stations and TV stations. So sometimes you can find somebody there. I would have to say by far Facebook community pages, as far as I have seen, has been the best option. Some folks do use Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. If you use LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, again, you have to be very specific with your location, and it's a little bit different than using, say, a Facebook. The 5 things that you need to have in your ad when you're writing an effective ad for a nanny is, of course, the hours, full-time, part-time, and if you can be more specific than that, it's helpful. You always want to tell the age and the number of children that the nanny's going to be taking care of. I know it sounds crazy, but I see ads all the time that leave these basic things out. Your location is going to be important because that's really going to narrow down who is interested in the job. And I think it's very important for her to stay within about a 30-minute radius of where she lives. That's including traffic. The salary range is important to put in the ad because if you're advertising for a job that's going to be $13 or $14 an hour, talking to a $20 an hour nanny doesn't make sense. It's wasting everybody's time. And you need to put in any special requirements that you have, if you have any special needs for the child, if there's any allergies or anything that the nanny is going to be, dealing with on a daily basis that's not the typical nanny duties, anything special. Step 2 is the interview. You've identified somebody and now you want to set up a time to meet them. Do you interview her at your house or do you meet her in public? That's entirely up to you. What do you ask her? Great question. You should have a list of questions written down to ask each nanny. If you let your kids meet her on the first interview, is it just a judgment call? Some folks do. Some prefer to screen her and do, a one-on-one without the children the first time so there are no distractions. When you ask her for references, I would say after you meet her and know that you truly have an interest in this candidate, then ask her for references so her references aren't getting bombarded with calls, even if they're, not going to be a good fit for your family. You may get more personal with your questions when you're hiring a nanny because that person is coming into your home. And for safety reasons for your children, it's not like a corporate job. So you certainly can ask more detailed questions. Honestly, most families stop here. They get a recommendation from social media and they might check 1 or 2 references, and this is where their process stops. But honestly, this is where it needs to start. The journey really is just getting started when you found somebody and have set up an interview with them. The first thing you need to do that is crucial is reference checks. I recommend 3 personal and 3 professional. It is so easy for somebody to give you false references, especially if you only check 1 or 2. And if you don't do that by phone and you're doing it through instant messaging or Facebook or any of those venues. So you really do want to do more than just a couple of references, and you want to actually talk to them. I'd write down the same questions so that everything is consistent and you're able to gauge one candidate from the next. And again, you're going to want to take notes so that when you look at it later, you have everything written down so that you can keep each candidate separate and what their responses were. Even if you're working with a nanny agency, you're going to want to check the references on your own. I can't tell you as an agency owner when we were actually doing placements how many times I would call to check references and that nanny was registered with another agency and that agency had never checked references. So you need to do that on your own. Also, a mom is going to give you more detailed information than she gives another agency. It's just, the way it is. You guys are going to connect. You're going to have things in common. She's going to be more open and honest with you. Next is the background check. This is what a complete background check should look like. The items that are highlighted in red, that's the bare minimum that you should do for a nanny. However, if you use a really good reputable service that does a complete background check, these are the things they're looking for. Folks, it's really, really important to do your homework. Here's a couple of news stories I found from abcnews.com. And these are current stories right now. One is a babysitter that was actually charged after allegedly beating a 3-year-old girl and leaving her brain dead. I can't tell you how important it is. And as a parent, it only takes one incident and your child can be injured. So, taking the extra steps, doing your homework, slowing it down, and really covering all your bases could mean the difference in life and death. This is serious stuff. So before you start, ask yourself these questions. And I know they seem silly, but it's true when you really think about it. Would you buy a house that's not been inspected? You wouldn't go to work and leave your door unlocked. And if you were going to invest $20,000 that you just had laying around, would you do it based on a referral from a stranger on Facebook or Twitter or somebody that you talked to in passing? I'm sure the answer is no to all of those questions because those things are important and you don't want anything to happen to your things. So why would you trust a recommendation from one person that's a stranger referring another person that's a stranger? It's important to put all the pieces together. We all do things to protect our things, and we should protect our little ones as much or more. And we all know that. It's just, we get in that hustle and bustle of mom's got to get to work and we've got to get somebody, we got to make this happen. And sometimes we get really busy and skip steps. I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but, just bear with me. We're going to go through steps 5 and 10. Hopefully you're taking some notes. Step 5 is the offer and the contract. When you've identified somebody, excuse me, and you decide that you want to make them an offer, I would suggest doing that in writing. You can email it to them. And the contract is crucial. You've got to have a contract. If you want to even, just the communication on its own, she's going to remember things differently. You're going to remember things differently. It's crucial to have things written down. Contracts really do give both parties that clear, black and white understanding of expectations. I deliberately put contracts in gray because if you don't use a contract, you are in very gray area and it can get really sticky really fast. I had someone ask one time, do I need to have an attorney draw up a contract? And I laughed and said, only if you have to use it in court. And nobody knows if that's going to happen. So contracts, they're important if it comes to that. Step 6 is that you need to have emergency information written down. I would have emergency forms on my refrigerator for a nanny, for a babysitter, for anybody that's going to be in your home caring for your children. Even a grandparent, they know where you live, but they don't always know your specific address. And nobody uses landlines anymore. So if somebody's calling 911, they're going to have to tell them where they are. So you want to be sure that you have this stuff written down. age and weight of each child, the address again, like I said, the contact info for the parents, any allergies, medications that they're taking, hospital preference, the pediatrician's information, and poison control, because poison control can walk that person through the steps to immediately treat your child if they have been exposed to something that's poison. Step 7 is helpful hints for getting started. That first day, it's really important to get the nanny and the kids, or the sitter and the kids, off to a good start. That sets the tone. I would have that person come and babysit in your home at least twice prior to starting that first day. Have a schedule written down, again, clear expectations. Introduce them to school staff, any lessons that they'll be dropping your child off and picking them up, any staff there. They need to be familiar with this person. You need to go over the house rules. What's your way of doing things? They can't please you and do things your way if they don't understand what that is. Screen time, if any, needs to be discussed. That's really a big hot topic these days. Any naps or snacks that your child will be getting during the day, what's the norm? And I would give myself some extra time that first morning so that she can feel comfortable. You don't want to rush this, and she may have questions, and if she feels like you're in a rush, she may not ask you those questions. Step 8 is to have a backup plan. The realistic nanny is going to have life emergency. She's going to get sick, probably from your child, and things are going to come up. You need to have a backup plan, because you don't want to be caught at 6:30 in the morning if that nanny is sick, figuring out, what am I going to do for today? It always seems to happen when you've got an important meeting, or you're going out of town, or something was going on that just seems like you can't be there during the day. So some of the child care centers in the area here where we live will actually set it up so that if you need to do a drop-in day, I know Bright Horizons used to do that. I think maybe Primrose does that as well. I'm not 100% sure, but just have that in advance, kind of in your back pocket, so if you need to have a backup. Step 9 is warning signs, because this is really important. What are the warning signs? And these seem kind of subtle, but again, they're big. If your child has a diaper rash, all kids have diaper rash, but if it seems to happen more often, pay attention to that. If your child's unhappy and there doesn't seem to be a reason, any attitude change in the nanny or the child, her everyday tasks that never seem to be a problem are not getting completed for no reason, and the nanny becoming unreliable. This is a big deal. She's more eager to leave, and she's late in the morning. If that happens, you need to take a step back and have a conversation with your nanny. Step 10 is evaluations and communication, which plays into exactly what we were just talking about. Nanny evaluations give you guys the opportunity to sit down and talk about what's working and what's not working, keeping that communication open. And if you schedule that, then when something is going on and you have those conversations, it doesn't seem like it's out of the blue. You want her to be happy, you want your kids to be happy, so in turn, you're going to be happy. Honestly, look at this tiny little baby. Mom and Dad, it's up to you to keep these kids safe, and paying attention to what's going on and screening that person and just being in tune with your kids and that nanny is so crucial. So basically, we were a full service traditional agency for over 20 years, and we've taken a step back because we saw that there was a gap. There's a gap between parents that use social media to find nannies on their own and parents that hire the traditional agency and pay thousands of dollars. There's an in-between there that needs to have that niche market filled. So we saw that this is what's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. There are a lot of parents that want to do it on their own, and we get that. Save themselves a lot of money. So we've designed a packet that we've put together that's very inexpensive, and we walk parents through the process step by step. It's basically a fill in the blanks. We provide a complete background screening and a hard copy of that with each packet so that you can have that nanny background screened. And we use a very, very reliable service that does a phenomenal job. And then we're here if you need that ongoing support. It's nice sometimes just to have a third party, all for less than what most nanny agencies charge for just the application fee. Our complete nanny package is only $129. And honestly, you're not going to find a good, reputable background check that you know is going to do a good job online for much less than that. And yes, you can do it yourself. If you want to do it yourself, you can go online and get a background check that's going to range anywhere from $49 to $149. But again, just be careful because the ones that are free or low cost are usually not very accurate. Attorney approved paperwork, we paid a lot of money for our paperwork to be developed and approved by an attorney. So, we estimate that at being, if you were going to go and get just a contract and maybe a couple of other things done, around $5 to $675. You could certainly pay less. But this is just an idea. If you want to do it alone, you can certainly do that. And we also have a good deal of experience dealing with parents and nannies and lots of very interesting situations. So just to recap, what you actually do get for the $129, everything is done for you. It's basically a downloadable PDF that you fill in the blanks. We give you the guidance for social media. We actually provide you with the interview questions that we used, helpful hints for getting started. We provide you with the emergency contact forms, of course, the contracts, and we explain to you, how to use them in your best interest and what you need to know. Nanny evaluations, all you have to do is fill that out. Warning signs, the background check, payroll guidance if you should need that, and of course, the ongoing support. And everything pretty much is included for less than the cost of an application fee. If you decide to move forward and let us help you by providing you with this packet, basically you can purchase this on our website, nannyservice.biz. Just put in promo code kickoff and ask to be invoiced. It's on the parents page of our website, and we will deduct that. It's on the website now for substantially more than $129. This is a special kickoff promo that we're doing. And honestly, you can use it again for every nanny and babysitter that you hire. So hopefully that was helpful and you took some notes and got some good information. Now, here's some questions that I frequently do get asked. What is the difference in a nanny and a babysitter? Well, I consider a nanny to be somebody who is a permanent childcare provider. Could be full-time, could be part-time. A babysitter is somebody that's going to be more as needed, more of a temporary situation. So that's how I see the difference in a nanny and a babysitter. How long does it take to find a nanny? That is the million-dollar question. If you start looking too soon, you're finding folks that need to work now. If you wait too long, then you get in a crunch because you can't find somebody. So I would say start looking about a month out, maybe 6 weeks. It just depends, but that can get a little sticky. You do want to give yourself plenty of time because you don't want to get into a situation where you have to hire somebody just because you didn't give yourself enough time. How much do nannies cost? That's going to depend on the market in your area. And you can just simply hop on a Facebook group, a parents group, and ask, what the going rate is in the area. You can always call a nanny agency in your area. Feel free to do that and pick their brain. Ask them, how much nannies in this area cost. Should nannies be paid overtime? That's going to depend on how you have your contract and agreement structured with your nanny. If she is given a salary for certain hours every day and you go over those hours, if it's if it's written in the contract that there may be days mom's going to be a little bit late, she's going to be after 5, and your nanny knows that. And most of the time, on the days that you're there before 5, nanny gets to leave early, then that's fine. You don't have to worry about overtime. If your nanny is hourly, then she should be paid overtime over the hours that are agreed on. Hopefully that kind of clears that up. If you have questions about that, I can get more specific. And the last question, which I get a lot, can't I just 1099 my nanny at the end of the year? The short answer is no. She is not a 1099 because she comes to work when you tell her to. She does what you ask her to. She is paid what you guys agree on, and she is not an independent contractor. So she needs to be a W-2 employee. So hopefully that helps. Again, I am here if you have any questions. We appreciate you taking a few minutes to hopefully learn a little something about your search for a nanny or a babysitter. Our website again is nannyservice.biz. My name is Trish, and we look forward to speaking with you.